Hey guys, I'm Oddball.
And I'm Skittery Mocha.
And actually today we're going to be going over Warframe, which is a game, if you haven't heard about it, is free to play on Steam, where you can download it from the Warframe website. Which is another free to play game to add to PlanetSide and Smite and LoL, Dota, all the other amazing free to play games that have been coming out recently. And we basically went through the first 3-4 hours of the game and tested it out.
Up until level 1.
Yep. And the game, of course, comes with its own pros and cons, so we're going to go over those real quick and show you guys some gameplay.
Guess what? He's right here. Ugh, I cut you in half.
I found a whole hallway full of them.
As you can see, the game looks very good. I, however, have an older laptop where I have to play on the lowest settings and windowed, and still, it's enjoyable.
Alright guys, so just keep in mind, this is with everything on low. All shadows off, all motion blur. And we still have our blood, our physics kicking in. I mean, it's really not bad.
One of the big advantages of this game is that the gameplay itself is really easy to jump into. You can start playing almost right away with very simplistic controls, but still addicting and fun gameplay. With all these other pros combined, I think the best thing about this game is that you're a fucking space ninja. No shit. I mean, we're talking like katanas and entering through vents.
And that brings us to our cons list, which is sadly a lot longer than our pros list.
We need you guys to keep in mind, though, that Warframe is still in beta. And they've even changed things within the 2 days that we played this. Now, one of the main things Warframe suffers from, as far as being a story-based game, is that the story isn't explained. Of course, it could be that you learn more as time goes on, but all we really know is that the Tenno, which are basically the Warframes that you are, were in a big war, not really many were left, and now you're back to fight some sort of evil bad guys called the Ganir. We're really not sure why they're here or why we're fighting them. Sorry, cat. And that's pretty much all they say. They just kind of show up, and we show up to kill them.
One of my biggest gripes about the game is the menus. Shitty.
To explain.
Okay, so keep in mind that I'm actually going in after a fact. The original time when we got confused about the menus didn't go over very well as far as it was in the video, so I'm going to redo it and just kind of rehash things as best I can as to why it gets a little confusing. Now, what you're looking at now is actually after Update 7. We're looking at hotfix 7.10.7 and game update 1.7. So, when you originally get in here, you just jump pretty much right into the game because, I mean, you're level 0 and there's nothing you can really do even if you wanted to. But once you hit level 1 in some other areas, you want to start updating your skills or abilities. And you get these cards that you get in-game. You kind of pick them up. You saw one of them pop up in the short amount of gameplay that we showed. So if I was sitting here as a new player, you come in here, and originally when you go to update your character, you go to click on here, but that's looks like it's just portraits, so you go back, so you click on your character, and this is just kind of here. This is just like stats and stuff, so that's obviously not it. So you come over here, and you're like, okay, Arsenal. So you go to Arsenal. And you go to look at abilities. So you go to your Warframe here, and all you have are these other Warframes to choose from, which you cannot select, sadly enough. But when you come here, I have Slash Dash and Radio Blindy's Super Jumps, and I don't know what to do. I can click here. I've got gear that I can click. Okay, I can click on my gear, and then click here. I can click on my weapons and go choose other weapons. So I go here. Well, this is Sentinels. So that's not anything. Is it mods, maybe? Okay, here they are, but I don't know how to equip them. So you go to inventory, maybe. No, this is just inventory. So you go here. This is customization. I guess there's really no change. But I can just customize the colors. And personally, for me, and at least my friends I've played with, this is the last place we go to. Because a wrench, typically, either a wrench or a gear, as seen in this top side here, are settings. In almost any game, universally, if it's a wrench or if it's a gear, it's settings. And then we come here, and it's like, oh, this is where we change it. Okay, this is how we do it. So I've got this. It's 1 point, so I want to put my radial javelin. Well, I can't because it says I have installed mods. I've got 7 left. Let's put rush. See, this is where I'm confused too. It doesn't explain anything. You don't get really a tutorial here, at least not yet. We're looking at 8 mod capacity. I only have 1 here, or at least it has a number 1 there. I guess that's what it's referring to. So I assume I should take 7 to be able to put it in here. But I can't. And I'm not sure. Can I put a 6 in there? I can't put a 6 either. What about a 2? Okay, I can put a 2, and this changes to a 1. Can I put... Okay, now I've got... Oh, I'm using 2, maybe 2 mods then? But you see, I'm not sure what I'm doing. And there's really nothing to explain it, so I'm just kind of dragging and dropping. Even now, after playing the game, this is after the fact that we did our already first few hours. This is coming in later, after I've played the game even more. And I really still don't know what I'm doing with this menu system. It just isn't intuitive. You can't just pick up the menu and really just go through and change your skills and figure everything out real quick. It's very, very complicated, at least initially.
Besides the menu system, one of the things that really gets on my nerves is that the game really doesn't have a very good reward system. And what I mean by this is in games, for example, like PlanetSide 2 or Smite. In Smite you earn influence, and in PlanetSide 2 you earn cert points. Now these points can be used to actually buy things that people can get sooner with money. But the point is, if you play the game enough, everything in the game is accessible, except for some skins, for absolutely free. Sure, you'll have to put in a ridiculous amount of hours, but at least you'll be able to acquire it. This doesn't seem to be the case in Warframe. Warframe, you got to drop some bucks if you're going to be able to do anything that you really want to do. Which, seeing as this is a free game, isn't that big of a deal, because you can just buy anything and it'd be like buying a normal game. The problem comes in that you're not even allowed to preview items. That's my biggest pet peeve.
Speaking of pet peeves, the level of repetition is kind of ridiculous. You have about 4 base levels that each mission is carried out on, and you start to notice a lot of repetition in just level design. You're going down the same hallway about every 3rd level, you're turning around the same corner, going through the same grates. Speaking of grates, every time you join a level, you're jumping through this ventilation system on every single starship.
Yeah, we thought this would change up eventually, but after going to 7, 8, 9, 10 systems, you enter through the exact same ventilation system every single time. You'd think these guys would get a clue that you're getting in somehow. Not only do the vents repeat and the levels tend to repeat themselves, but you have a woman's voice which constantly comes over comms going, "There's enemies ahead," or a heavy squad's incoming. She basically says the same thing every mission, and she says the same thing on every mission at least 7, 8, 9 times. And being that missions only last about 10 minutes each, it gets really, really annoying. The least you could do is say something pertinent to whatever the situation is. Now, earlier in the pro section, we talked about real quick that the gameplay was really easy to jump into and play. Well, we've already told you that the menu system is basically the complete opposite of that. Well, also, so is the progression, unfortunately. It took us a long, long time to get from basically level 0 to level 1. Now, your armor and your weapons and your abilities all tend to rank up, but we couldn't discern what this actually did, except for maybe a slight increase in damage or just showing that you've used it more. Seemed fairly pointless. Just like lots of the maps you go on, you'll have escort quests, and we had some capture quests, lots of execution, sabotage missions, but it really didn't feel like we did anything or accomplished anything because we can go back to these missions later and just repeat them. There's really no idea or no feeling of progression in the game, and I think this is really going to hurt the game in the long run.
What I'm hoping for in this game is more interaction with the environment or enemies' weapons. If you kill an enemy, all of his stuff and him just disappear. Some stuff drops, like energy boosts, some form of point currency, which we really haven't gotten to deal with yet. But you can't pick up an enemy's weapon. Drops a sniper rifle? No. You don't get to pick up any of their melee weapons. You're just stuck with the 3 weapons that you've got. You can rank those weapons up, as Oddball was talking about, but it doesn't really do a whole lot.
On top of that, as you go through these corridors, which, like we said, repeat, it'd be really nice to see them broken up a little bit, where you could activate doorways, or maybe secondary ways to get to objectives. Everything seems really, really linear right now. Of course, we are just now turned level 1, and it's only been about 5-6 hours, but once again, these are our first impressions. In total, that's a review of the first couple hours of Warframe. If you'd like to check it out for yourself, please hit the download link in the description below. And as always, if you like what you see here on OddbawlWaystoDie, please give us a like and subscribe.